Hello, I'm Dr. T, the founder of mushroomclasses.com. I'm a mycologist and I want today to preach you about low-cost mushroom growing, advantages and challenges. If you are a fungus enthusiast, interested in growing edible or medicinal mushrooms, this might be for you. But also, if you're interested in general in mushrooms. Now, if you're thinking to grow mushrooms for profit, by the end of this video, you will have a general picture on why people buy mushrooms, why people grow mushrooms, what's the economical aspect of growing mushrooms, how mushrooms are grown, the mushroom grower's mindset. What are the main challenges that the mushroom growers confront with on a daily basis or from time to time? And if you decide to grow mushrooms, what options you have to get proper guidance? All of these are covered in this video presentation, so make sure that you stay tuned and I'm ready to start. So what are the top 8 reasons why people buy mushrooms? The first one I would think of taste and texture. Taste is probably the most important thing when it's about food. The great combination between taste and texture can be very satisfying to our taste buds. So some mushrooms have truly unique taste, and because of that they're so much appreciated around the world. The meat-like texture is another character that gives them a lot of value. Now, if you're thinking about food diversity, people buy mushrooms because they're looking to diversify what they eat yesterday. So, for example, they had pork yesterday and now they want to go for some other stuff like rice together with mushrooms, with cheese and wine or something else. So they just want to diversify food. That could be another reason why they want to buy mushrooms. Another reason could be because of safety. They would go rather to a market instead of going in the woods and picking mushrooms from there, because you never know, they might confuse them with some poisonous ones, so they would prefer to go to the market to buy them. Another one could be diet connected. So more and more people are concerned about their diet. Some people want to lose weight, some other wants to be vegans because of various reasons. So they cut out from their diets meat, eggs, bread, fats, and so on, but they need to substitute those with something else, other kinds of food. So in this case, mushrooms are one of the top on their lists when it's about food change. Now, if you're thinking about mushrooms as a delicacy, some mushroom types are very expensive. For example, I saw the other day at Whole Foods dried morels, and they were sold for like $18 per ounce. So if you think about truffles, a pound of truffles can get to several thousands of dollars if we're thinking about white truffles. Anyway, for cultivated mushrooms, price ranges in the stores and depends on very much on the materials, energy cost, effort, and market price fluctuations. So there are a couple of reasons why they are more expensive than others. However, some of them are known as delicacies, and they're part of the famous recipes around the world. The expensive ones are used in small amounts by chefs. I remember that I had a bowl of soup in Slovenia with a pinch of fresh truffles ground on top of it. It was just super amazing. Also, mushrooms have nutritional value. So they are rich in proteins, vitamins, and minerals, and they're able to also accumulate vitamin D, which normally we get from the sun through our skin. And because of this, they are very sought by vegans eager to supplement their daily protein intakes. So, what else can I tell you? If you're thinking about medicinal properties, some people buy mushrooms because they're thinking about medicinal properties. Some of them are called functional foods, and because they possess both edible value and also medicinal value. Some people buy them and consume them because of this. For example, if you're thinking about lion's mane mushroom, it's known to help to restore nervous system functionality, and because of this is of high interest in those people with nervous system degenerative problems, and not only they're very interested. They represent a high interest for also for those people that they're trying to get a business out of them by growing the mushroom, turning that into a powder, putting that into capsules and selling them like that, or to turn those into extracts and so on. So besides reasons like these ones that I listed here, if you're thinking about business reasons, another reason why people buy mushrooms is because they want to use them in their products. And I can think of random products that contain mushrooms, like creams, soaps, toothpaste, chocolate, coffee, food blends, beer, wine, and so on. Now you can find mushrooms in a lot of products out there. So you can also find them in the form of tablets or supplements or tinctures, as I said. So these are some of the reasons why people buy mushrooms. From here you clearly can see that mushrooms have a lot of value. Now let's see why people grow mushrooms. To grow mushroom, it's an art. It's pretty much like cooking. You have a recipe, you have the ingredients that you put together, and then you cook them or not, depending on the method that you pick. So it's fun to do a project like that, to grow different kinds of mushrooms, to try different methods, and to taste the fruits of your labor, of course. When you grow mushrooms, you get close to nature. Now, this could be another reason why people want to grow mushrooms. You get away from the office, get away from your computer, and relax working on a fulfilling project. By the simple fact that you see the mycelium spreading on the substrate day by day, or by watching the mushroom pin developing in a short time, is fascinating. And this is, I'm telling you, man, it's very addicting. It is so addicting that you might find yourself at one point walking in the market, checking for random objects there, and from thinking about those objects from a mushroom perspective. So a mushroom cultivation perspective, more exactly. Or you might find yourself seeing a straw pile on the margin of the road, and think, what a good substrate to grow mushrooms on. So these are just two examples when it's about mushroom addiction. All of this turns into a passion that brings you satisfaction on multiple levels. It is also very educational. All the time you'll feel that you have so many options to test, to see what's going to be, if you'll change here or if you're going to do something over there, what the outcome is going to be. So it's not something that you would do and it would be boring and it wouldn't be challenging and you wouldn't get any satisfaction. It's not something like that. It's truly the opposite. So it's very, very satisfying. It's a beautiful passion. Those who grow mushrooms at home in their backyards, for example, in their gardens, they have a superior outcome compared to what you will get from the store. If you're thinking about the store, might not have the mushrooms that you want, or they're sitting on the shelf for like a lot of days and they're grown with pesticides. Of course, you can add pesticides to mushrooms as well. Some growers do that. When you grow mushrooms from in your backyard or at home or in your grow room, you know exactly what's in them. You are the one who's making the rules in that case. You get fresh mushrooms and they're ready to go for cooking. And in regards to taste, you can pick the ones that you want to grow and even influence the taste. It's more like a characteristic that is connected to substrate type. For example, you can do this with shiitake. If you're going to grow them on a particular substrate, you will find that their taste is different than if you would grow them on a different substrate. And I'm thinking about another reason why people grow mushroom is because of recycling reasons. If you drink every day coffee or tea, eat peanuts, have loads of cardboard boxes in your household, I think about transforming those into food with mushroom power rather than tossing those at the dumpster. Why would you do that when you can transform those into food and use that food, or you can even turn that food into cash? If you have a garden and have plant leftovers, give them to mushrooms and turn those into food. They grow on wood, on sawdust, on paper, on coffee grounds, on hay, on leaves, on corn cobs, agricultural waste, you name it. Now, another powerful reason why people grow mushrooms is because they want to invest in their passion. Probably the best investment that you can do when it's about growing mushrooms is to invest in yourself, in learning how to do it the proper way, not necessarily to invest cash into equipment and all of that, because if you're going to have the proper knowledge, then you'll know exactly what you use in order to cut costs or in order to get the outcome that you're thinking of. So why not have both satisfaction by growing them and also some financial freedom? Think about the people that want to buy mushrooms and work your way out to supply them with the mushrooms they need, and they will reward you back. Now, let me check here on the next slide here. Now, many people that start with mushroom growing, they started because they need a way out from their financial problems. So let's have a look on why growing mushrooms is profitable. Let's take the easiest to grow. I'm thinking about oyster mushrooms. But of course you can start with some other mushrooms if you want. It's not, I'm just giving you an example here. 1 5-pound substrate block can get you between 2 and 5 pounds of oyster mushrooms. You will have to invest in this about $3 or less. If you purchase your materials and the ingredients, it will cost you about $3. But if you use your own substrate and ingredients like agricultural waste, coffee grounds or so on, and you're making of your own spawn, it's probably going to cost you about $1 or maybe even less, depends. Of course I didn't put into the effort that you're going to invest into it and the time that it's going to take you to grow the mushrooms, but still it is a calculus, and you can calculate in a more efficient way if you want. So the investment is a range between $1 and $3 per block. Secondly, the harvest will be between 2 and 5 pounds per block, and this depends on a complex of factors like strain, grow methodology, conditions, and so on. If you get 1 pound of mushrooms per 1 pound of dry substrate, that means 100% biological efficiency. Oyster mushrooms are known to get up to 200% BE, and this means for you to know a strategy that works to squeeze out of that block and to get you the mushrooms that you want. If you're thinking about a particular amount, like 5 pounds of mushrooms per block, then you need a strategy that works. If you're thinking to sell your mushrooms, if you're thinking to sell your mushroom harvest, you have the option to sell them bulk or retail. Now the bulk price per pound is quite low, but even in that case, at the mean harvest of 3.5 pounds, you may get a profit of $5.75 per block. Now, if you choose to sell your mushrooms to farmers market, restaurants, local groceries, you can ask for a decent price of $10 per pound or even more, because in a supermarket they sell for about like $15 per pound. And what you see on the right side, it's one example on that. Now this means that if you harvest 3.5 pounds of mushrooms per block, you can get about $32 or more in profit per block. Now, if you have 1,000 blocks in your grow room, this means about $32,000 per grow cycle. Since most farmers collect the first flush only of mushrooms, the grow cycle could be up to 21 days. Now, I hope it makes sense. This is only for common oyster mushroom, but you may pick to grow other kinds of mushrooms if you want. And if you live in another country than US, to see the exact profit that you could get by growing mushrooms, you'll need to make a detailed calculus based on market analysis. Now, if you would like to grow other mushrooms, the bulk and retail price is variable, but I can tell you that the harder the mushroom to grow is, usually is the more expensive. So if you're thinking about these mushrooms listed here, probably maitake is the hardest to grow, and therefore the more expensive. It's one of the most expensive of all here that are shown in here. Maitake price ranges from $25 up to $40 per pound for fresh maitake. Now, in the other slide, I was referring to mushroom blocks. Here you may see a shiitake block, and here in the picture below you can see a lot of other blocks displayed one next to each other. Now, these are still packed into their filter bags. Now, let me get to the next slide in here. Next, let's see how mushrooms are grown. There are two major standard protocols for growing mushrooms. The easy way to grow mushrooms, they don't require supplementation. So this means that the methodology is easy, but it also has many variations. So these are the mushroom types that grow even if you do not make any mistakes, or if you're going to make a lot of mistakes, I want to say, then you're going to be fine. If you're thinking about oyster mushrooms or even wine cap, you can make a lot of mistakes with them and you're going to be fine. You're going to get some mushrooms in there. Now, the procedure, it's pretty much like cooking. First, you need to mix the base ingredients if you're going to use more than one kind, but the base ingredients are straw, corn cobs, or other kind of agricultural waste, or if you have one ingredient like wood shavings or something, that you can use that. Next, you'll need to add water to the base ingredients or the recipe, and then you have to disinfect that by soaking it, or you in a lime bath, or you can pasteurize that, or you can sterilize that. There are different disinfection methods over there. So then you'll have to adjust the moisture content, so your fungus is going to have the proper moisture. Is very important, because if you're going to have more moisture in your substrate, your fungus is going to slow down its growth, or if you're going to have less moisture, then it's going to slow down again. You gotta be balanced in this. Now, when you're going to grow them, you can add then amendments like gypsum and lime if you want. Next you need to inoculate them, and then you can add, of course, inoculate them with spawn, and then to place that into a bag or a tray, and after that you go and take a break for like 2 weeks until they're going to incubate. And then when you'll see that they start to pin, that is the moment when you have to give them some climate conditions. So you know what means climate conditions: moisture first of all, and shade, and in like 3 to 4 days your mushrooms are ready for harvest. Now if you're thinking about this methodology, it's very simple, and this is pretty much like how oyster mushrooms are grown, and it's very simple. Now the next method that you see here on the right side applies for mushrooms that need supplementation, and this is very necessary to give you decent yields, and that's why the disinfection stage is done by heat usually. So the methodology here, it's a little bit different, but still you can apply the first method as well for this kind of mushrooms, and you'll still get some mushrooms, but very, very few. As you see, growing mushrooms, it's easy, but you have to understand that each mushroom has unique requirements, and if you want them to fruit, you'll need to give them what they want. This is how I grew oyster mushrooms on cardboard paper in 2005. I placed the cardboard in the shower tub. I turned on the hot water, then I kept that for like 2 hours at the same temp. Next I squeezed the paper to adjust moisture content. I added gypsum to it, then I placed everything into a trash bag, added spawn to that. I poked some holes on the sides of the bag and left I left to do my things for about like 10 days until I saw that they started to fruit. So it's easy peasy, it's very simple to grow, as you may see here, oyster mushrooms. And I would recommend you, if you're going to ever start to grow mushroom, just try these first, and then you can gradually try different kinds of mushrooms. So from my experience, I easily may distinguish 3 types of growers. 1, hobby growers. 2, startup farms growing mushrooms commercially, and entrepreneurs. And of course the third kind is professional growers that possess plenty of experience and grow mushrooms the right way. Now hobby growers may or may not have a settled methodology. In their infancy, they play around with different options to see which one works best for them. Now the problem is that they lose funds and time with lots of trials until they find the right one, so they can get the mushrooms they want. Of course this is also fun, and you can learn a lot by that, but still, if you want faster results, then you have to think further. Now startup and mushroom farm entrepreneurs or hobby growers that decide to start a mushroom growing business, in many cases find a method and settle that down. Now they settle that down, and it's because they get decent crop yields. Now most of them start to make their own spawn, and this is crucial because it gives them freedom to use as much spawn as they want, and it cuts costs. Imagine that only shipping costs for spawn, they cost more than the spawn itself when you purchase a spawn. So they also use some equipment, and even if it's low tech, it works because, you know, mushrooms don't need fancy and expensive equipment to grow. They don't know about something like that. So they get decent yields, but however, the problem in their case is that they lose funds, energy, and time just because each of their blocks could be squeezed for more mushrooms. And the problem is that they don't know how to do that. I've seen large mushroom farms with thousands of blocks on the shelves, and they didn't have any awesome method to squeeze those blocks out for mushrooms. So because of that, they lose money. Now, the third type of growers are the professional growers, and these guys, they're serious in what they're doing. They have settled methods, they have lots of experience, and they're using great strains. They have more or less fancy equipment. Now depends. Some of them, they really have fancy equipment, like a production line which is fully automated, but that's not the point in this case. You can use low-tech production line. You can design it by yourself, you can use it and still get valuable results with that. And of course, they're using a strategy able to give them great mushrooms in terms of mushroom harvest. Now, these guys grow mushrooms efficiently, and in their cases, the oyster mushroom yields can reach up to 150 or maybe even 200% BE. Now, let's see on the other slide here. Okay, just a moment. Now, besides thinking about how to increase crop yields, here are some other challenges that every mushroom grower deals with. Now, what's the best strain that you can use for great yields and easy to work with and on your end, of course, and what's a great strain also that satisfy the market and the customers are happy with. Now, there are a ton of strains out there, and what works for others might not work for you at the same time, but still, when you're using strains, you gotta pay attention to some features that strains have, so this might be a challenge. Many startup growers are starting with inefficient methods to grow mushrooms without knowing what works for the strains that they have. So these are some of the some pictures actually that I took a while ago visiting a startup farm in California. What you see here, it's a loss of time, precious time, energy, materials, and of course funds. Imagine that you start like this and get into problems, and soon you may decide to give up on the reason that it's hard to grow mushrooms. So in that case, guidance it's needed, because you can start by yourself and you can run into trouble like this. Now, some mushrooms release a ton of spores, and they could affect your health. if you don't know how to protect yourself, of course. Spores are one of the major concerns among growers. So it's not something that you have just to pass through, because I met people that they started to grow mushrooms and they gave up on mushroom growing just because they had the problems with spores. But of course you gotta know which mushroom releases more spores than the other and all of that. Production cost may get crazy at one point, and growers are preoccupied with lowering the production cost. Now, how to lower that is another challenge. In some cases, mushrooms react depending on the climate that is provided to them. Sometimes I hear, why my mushrooms look like this? What's happening to them? Why my mushroom have such long stems? Why do they have small caps and so on? Many startup growers run into problems like that, and they're looking for answers in different parts. Now, another challenge is related to how the market wants your mushrooms and how you can market those mushrooms. What does the market want? That's the question. Should you sell to restaurants, to farmer markets, groceries, or you should go bulk? What's the best option for you? Once you harvest your mushrooms, you might find yourself building a huge pile of spent substrate. Now, the question is, what can you do with it? Should you let it rot, or is there a way to recycle that or turn that into a profitable product? Now, there are options to play around, but the startup mushroom grower needs to know some of the things, and he or she can get actually value from that as well. Every farm passes through some growth stages. Now, to make the right move at the right time is essential. So when you do that, that lifts your growing business higher, and of course get you closer to the goal that you're following. Probably you have a vision somewhere, so you gotta know the road that you're going to pass, so you can get to that final purpose. Now, not everybody is a good grower and a good manager, but learning some management stuff is essential to run a farm once it gets bigger. Now, this represents another challenge for growers. So let's see, another important challenge could be, and it's related actually, to pest management. Now, sometimes growers are running into pests, and in some cases pests are all the time present in their grow room, and they're trying constantly to find solutions to get rid of pests, but knowledge is very essential in this case. So let's see, I just presented you some of the challenges that I believe that are essential for a startup grower to understand. And I didn't put this video together just to tell you only the good things about mushroom growing, but also the negative ones. Now, these challenges are challenges that every grower confronts with. Maybe not on a constant level, but from time to time they appear and disappear, and of course depends very much on the experience of the grower, on the guidance that he gets, and so on. In spite of this, there is a long list of successful mushroom farms out there. And this could be a real option to get you financial freedom. If you're still here and waiting, if you're still here watching this, it means that you just stepped into the first stage towards taking major decision that could change your life. Now, envision yourself how it would be for you to play around with mushrooms, and what does it take to get there. Probably the most important is, why would you do this? Now, if you would like to start or want to learn more about the fascinating world of mushrooms, let me tell you about some of the options you have. If you decide to start growing mushrooms for different reasons or want to learn about mushrooms in general, I see about 4 major ways you can do that. Do it yourself. That's the first option. Through a local farm, by visiting a local farm. Through workshops, going on a workshop and learning stuff. Or joining an online club. A long time ago, this is how I started. I decided to get into growing mushrooms and spawn making by myself. So I spent a lot of time, and I was scoring the internet, and I was reading tons of books about this topic. The info that I found wasn't always reliable. It was very fragmented. Methods that work for some other growers, but they didn't work for me. I had questions but not answers to them. It was a total mess. It took me up to 5 years to settle down my methodologies and learn the behind the curtain tips and secrets of the industry. I realized that I've spent a lot of time just by learning the processes and build my experience through mistakes, successes, and failures, and I believe that this probably was the positive side of the whole thing, but otherwise it was just time consuming. You have the option to go visit a local farm, see what they do, read some books, and try that by yourself. Now, visiting a farm is great, and I encourage you to do that, and can reveal you a picture, a general picture that helps, but it doesn't tell you everything that you need to know unless you decide to work for a farm. Now, working for a farm is different than just visiting a farm. Spending time there, you realize and you learn way more than you can do just by visiting one. If you decide to attend a workshop, that's much better, because you have a hands-on experience, which is great. And if you have questions, you get answers. So there is support. The downside of it is that unfortunately this support is limited and lasts until you attend the workshop. That could be 2 hours, could be 2 days, or could be 7 days. Another disadvantage of this is that it might get to be an expensive adventure. Some mentors out there ask for over $1,000 for 2 days of workshop. In plus, of course, you need to cover travel expenses and some other expenses of your staying there and so on. So after this, you might still have questions without getting answers to them. Now, if you're going to join an online club, online clubs run on a monthly subscription basis. This means that the fee that you pay on a monthly basis is low, and this allows you to start and develop your business without much investment in knowledge. Now, if you're broke, if you don't have plenty of cash in your pockets, this could be one of the great options that you have. You get access to knowledge that interests you. You can talk to an expert face to face. You can get community support and other benefits. And you can do all of this from the comfort of your home. Now, however, the downside of it is that doesn't offer you a hands-on experience, which is very important. But you can visit a farm and implement what you learn in both cases, from the club and also what you see at the farm. And that will get you closer to your vision. Besides, as time passes by you can always get answers to your questions whenever you get in trouble with your mushroom farm project. Now, this is the main reason why I decided to start a mushroom membership club. My club is called Mushroom Classes and offers its members quality mushroom growing instruction and also some other mycology related instructions and how-tos on a decent price. Now, the main goal of this club is to make sure that every person that joins the club gets the desired outcome. Now, we ask you about your desires first and about your vision. We're trying to understand that and tailor a roadmap to get you closer to your goals. Now, not only that we tailor that, we're not going to let you go with it just like that, but we're going to revise that and see where you are along the way in the process. And if you have questions and problems, what they are and how we can solve them together. So by this, you're not alone in your endeavor. It is a place meant to get you where you want faster. It covers a range of topics that have to do with mushrooms, from growing to spawn making, medicinal mushrooms, or mushroom cooking. You pick what you want to learn about practically. Every member has a bunch of benefits, like access to training modules, expert and community support, live question and answers, certificates, product discounts if there are any, and other benefits that comes with the whole thing of the package. Our top qualities include the following. We provide you with quality information, step-by-step instructional videos, in-depth information, so you can dive into mechanisms and find out what's behind them and so on. Theory, we add every month fresh information to the membership area. And this information and the modules we built are actually tailored depending on what the community wants. And of course, we have also great support whenever you need it. So if you are a startup, an entrepreneur, or want to launch into a new career, based on a mycology branch, or you are a fungus enthusiast interested in mushroom forays and identifications and some other things that you might be interested in, feel free to join if you want. Now, next I want to show you a sneak peek of the inside of the club. So this is the Mushroom Classes Club. Here you can see the fresh information that it's loaded up every month, and some more information on member status change and membership benefits. You can find it right here, including a map on how to change your member status. Let's check on the evaluation. This is the evaluation that we're doing. We're evaluating your steps actually every month, so you can see what the progress towards your vision is. It also has a roadmap page, so we can set you up with a roadmap, or you can pick from the existing roadmaps. This is one roadmap which is available. It has training modules. Now, for now there are 6 modules, but we're going to add every month modules, and let's check out one of them. Now this is the beginner to oyster mushroom growing. Comes with these modules. They come with video trainings, step-by-step films, instructional movies, podcasts, text, quizzes. So we're making sure that you get the information in a way which is very reasonable for you to consume. So what else? So you have also support. If you have any questions, then you can go to the support center and you can submit your question, or you can connect with other members in the club. And we have a private Facebook club, and we're doing monthly live sessions in there. So join us if you want. You can find us at mushroomclasses.com. And in the end, I just want to thank you for your attention and to wish you best of mushrooms.